Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda Rose, and in today's video, I am going to be talking about, is the grass really greener now that I am in a new school and ultimately with a new teaching position? A lot of changes, but was this change actually worth it? I know this year and the last couple of years since the pandemic, teaching has really been so different. And I know that even before the pandemic, our career was always ever changing, ever evolving, sometimes underappreciated, and just overall a very taxing job, not just on your mental health, but also on your physical health. There are so many teachers who just don't take the time to take care of themselves, and we have to not necessarily address that in this video, but a lot of that again just goes back to the ever changing world of teaching. And then you throw on the pandemic, and then you throw on changing your job. So I wanted to talk to you all about my experience and some of the things that I considered when I chose to even apply for new positions. So let's get ready for this video. Again, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, that you like this video, and let's talk about it. Is the grass actually greener at my new job? So the first thing I want you all to know is that I originally tried to create a pros and cons list for this video, and I was stuck. Usually I'm really good at creating things like this and really just giving you guys exactly that, the pros and the cons of leaving your current job. However, the more I sat down, I realized a lot of this is personal. Why you may consider something a pro or a con is really up to you and your teaching journey and career. But what I can share are some questions that I did consider multiple times before applying and during the couple of days of time that I had to actually accept my new position. So, the first question I want to throw at you is, why do you want to leave your current job? What is it that is really frustrating you about the job? Is it the work hours? Is it your commute? Is it your leadership? Is it that there's no structure? What is it that is truly making you feel like, not that you want to quit teaching, but that you just don't think that your current school is still the right fit for you? You have to figure that out. I think oftentimes a lot of our desire to leave is just based on exhaustion, and sometimes our vision can be clouded as to why we want to stay at a job or why we don't want to stay. And the other question you have to ask is, if I get a new teaching position at a new school, will this actually solve my issue? Will going to a new school solve why you actually want to leave your current one? Hate to break it to you, but one thing that you should not be considering is your workload. Lesson planning, grading, um, calling home, those things are going to remain constant regardless of what job you are at. Now, the pressure to probably complete those tasks may be higher or less depending on the school that you're at, but those are just basic teaching responsibilities, okay? So when you are considering why you want to leave your job, I would highly recommend that if it has anything to do with grading, calling home, or lesson planning, that those are not exactly good reasons to consider leaving your job, because you're going to find that in any school that you go to. So for me, the thing that I had the most issues with at my previous job was that I was emotionally drained and I disagreed with the educational and cultural mission of the school. So, not to give too much away, but my previous school had gone through many different people in leadership. And with every new leader, they instilled a new vision. I was at a charter school, and because again, the leadership was inconsistent, there was not a good standard for cultural expectations for students, for school, and there was a lack of values. I was there for almost 10 years, like 9.5 years. So for me, when I first joined that school, there was a strong foundation. They really valued a really great, like, healthy student environment when it came to respect and rapport. And there was barely any fights that were taking place. There was a large club culture. We had events all of the time when it came to our theater or our music program. So many things were so student centered. However, as new leadership came in, not that they made academics more of their focus, but it's almost like they wanted to take away all of the other, like, fun pieces that make a school a community for students. My school, when I first joined, always cared about academics. But I do think that the new leadership focused so much on academics and not enough on still making school an enjoyable experience for students. They went so far to one side without really trying to find the balance. Also, the educational mission of the school, I just wasn't a fan, and I'm not going to share what those things were. But you know when you just no longer align with what you think school should be, what you think education should be, what you think a classroom should look like. And then when you have a new principal saying the exact opposite. Another question I think that you should consider, which is also something that I considered: are you satisfied with the type of teacher you are? Do you want to improve? And does your current school have a system in place that allows you to grow? Is your current school fostering teacher growth? For me, that answer was no. I felt very stunted. I have been teaching for a long period of time, but for me, I felt like I had reached my peak at this school. Again, a lot of that had to do with leadership. Yes, I was doing a lot of my own professional development on the side, but I never really had opportunities to implement the things that I learned into my classroom. And I do think that a lot of that does come from your principal. Not that you are supposed to just be like, tell me everything I'm supposed to do, but a good, strong leader can see something in you, whether it is a strength or a weakness, and give you solid advice and feedback on how to develop your skills in the classroom. That is something that I'm actually experiencing now at my new school that I never experienced. Well, not never. We had one principal for just 1 year that I really felt like they were great at providing feedback. So, is teacher growth something that you are considering? Is teacher growth something that you have access to at your school? If not, then you may want to consider leaving. For me, I did want to grow as an educator, and I did feel stunted, and I did feel like the type of teacher that my school wanted me to be was not the type of teacher that I wanted to be. And so, again, that clash of values was really something that was tugging at me, which also led to a really poor, like, emotional quality of life. So for me, the biggest reason why I left my previous school was because I was emotionally drained. I loved my friends at my job. I loved my neighborhood. I loved so many things about my school. But the way that leadership began to treat teachers, I felt so undervalued. And I had never cried so much because of my job. It's one thing to cry like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't want to plan this lesson, I'm so tired, I don't want to grade. But the way that we would get spoken to as a staff would make me so angry that the only emotion that I could let out was crying. It would just consume me. Or they would hold meetings after work, and I would be anxious about what they were going to say in the meetings, and I would breathe heavy, and I just felt like my job was consuming my mental life, and it brought nothing but anxiety. And so I knew that if there was any reason why I was going to change my job, it was going to be for that reason. And of course, I wasn't going to get on YouTube and share those things while it was happening, One, because I didn't want it to come from a place of anger um and hurt and spite. Now I can talk about it because I'm over it and I'm so far removed and I'm so thankful that I am. But when you're living it in the moment, it's really hard to talk about those things. And I didn't want to ever get on here and bash my previous school because I had so many great years there. But towards the end, it really was detrimental to my mental health and also my physical health. So for me, those were the reasons why I considered moving schools. So for me, is the grass really greener on the other end? Yes. But that's because I was also very strategic with the schools that I applied to. Did they have a system in place where they valued teachers? Right? Was that evident when you had conversations with the staff members at that school? Was it evident? Did you find that as something as a top priority when you had conversations with the principal during your interview? Definitely night and day. I am super happy at my new school, but I think a lot of that is because of the reasons I chose to leave. Also, a bonus is that this school is closer. My commute is shorter. So, because my commute is shorter, I get home earlier. There's just so many things about like I don't have to wake up as early. So many things in general that just make me feel better because I do have a better quality of life now. And I think when I left my job, it was time, but I do consider what would my life have been like if I had chosen to leave even sooner. When those signs of that tension between me and the school culture, when I really started to notice the clash, I stayed on at least 3 more years than I should have. And I wonder what life would have been like, but then again, it is what it is. I made the decision when I made the decision, and I'm moving forward. I'm not someone who really looks behind like that. I'm not someone who really lives with regret. I'm more, I made my decision, moving forward, on to the next. So this is where I'm at right now in this stage of my life. If you are a teacher and you are considering what do you do? Are you at a crossroads? Do you feel like you're in the middle of having to make this life changing decision? Because for me, that's what it felt like. Changing my job was life changing. I would really challenge you to write down some questions that are really valuable for why you want to leave your school. When it comes to, again, work life, I do think that that's going to be consistent regardless of what school you are in. But are you happy at your new school? Why aren't you happy? If you move schools, will this new school actually solve that problem? Is it emotional distress or strain that you feel? Is it physical? Do you disagree with the educational mission of the school like I did? Does your school foster an environment for teacher growth? Is the feedback that you're receiving helpful? All of those things for me were major reasons for why I chose to look elsewhere. And yeah, for me, the grass is greener on the other side. I'm really interested to know how your year is going. If you can please write in the comments, are you at a crossroads as well when it comes to your position as a teacher, the school you're in, changing careers? I know that so many teachers are all over the place. Yes, because of the pandemic, but also I think many people were feeling like this prior. And I think the pandemic really escalated a lot of those emotions. So please write in the comments how you're feeling. What is the decision that you're kind of shuffling with back and forth, if any? And I really hope to see you guys in the next video. Take care, and I will see you all very, very soon.